All right. Good afternoon, guys. Good evening. Hope that you enjoy this week's Mac Forum video chat. Welcome to the August 14th, 2016 edition. We got quite a bit of things on the agenda for you this evening. Let's go ahead and get going here. First of all, I'm going to scroll down real quickly and have a look. It looks like we have currently a new member here, Saber 192004. So welcome to them and to all of our new members. I know for a fact that we've had several new members join during the week, and hope that all of them are enjoying their time here and finding a lot of useful information. Speaking of useful information, let's go ahead and dive right into things. There was a lot going on in the forum this week, but I wanted to mention a couple of threads in particular just because they kind of caught my attention and might be kind of useful here. First of all, as you can see from this thread, one of our members had a problem in the sense that when you look at what they were experiencing, it looked like email that they had deleted was respawning itself, so to speak, when they did a search. And they figured out the first half of the equation. Within a matter of about 15 minutes, as you can see, they posted back saying that they had fixed the problem. It wasn't that the email was respawning; it was simply that the search results that they were seeing included the mail results that were in the mail trash because they were using Spotlight. And then the question became, how do I confine a search to a specific mailbox? And I'm sorry that I did not answer this question a little bit earlier. I did not realize when I read the thread the first time that there was still a sort of an unanswered question. So here's one way to do things. As I mentioned in the thread, and this is also in Apple's help system. I'm going to bring up something here. As you can see, I've brought up mail. Now, if right here, if I were to, as you see, I've got inbox selected. If I were to search for something, I'm just going to real quickly search for the word Amazon, for example. It will bring up everything with the name Amazon in it. But here's the problem. Uh, it's going to bring up things that are also in the trash. So here's what you need to do to stop that from happening. I'm going to see if I see one here that might be in the trash. Sometimes if you have this selected where it says all email, it's going to bring up everything, whether it's in the trash or not. Okay. So what you need to do, go down to mail, as I've done, click here, type your search phrase in, and if it's still showing you things that are in the trash, right now it won't because I just dumped my trash. But if you find that it's still showing you everything in the trash, instead of clicking on inbox, click on a specific mailbox. So for example, if I go to iCloud, it shows me Amazon because there was something there with Amazon in it. If I go here, I don't get that kind of result. It doesn't confine itself yet. Here are some things from Amazon. So what you want to do is click on the mailbox that you need to search. I find that you get more accurate results, and you're more likely to exclude the trash if you go ahead and pick a specific mailbox rather than having just searching and clicking on inbox. I've put that note in the thread there, along with some information that actually comes from the mail help system. If you're working within mail, you can find that information, that little tip in their help system. So it's a good place to go. Let's move on now to something else that can be a little bit of a problem if you're a recent switcher. Um, some of you are used to a function in the Windows version of the Microsoft Office products where essentially it behaves like a clipboard. You can have multiple things kind of queued up, apparently. It's not a feature that I use a lot, but you can have multiple things queued up to paste. So you've selected multiple things, you've cut them out into this clipboard, and you want to paste them now one by one, and you want to be able to pick which one you paste in. Now, in the Mac version of Excel for Office, some versions are not currently may not be currently supporting this. So in this thread, if you do not have that scrapbook feature, there are some of our members have mentioned a couple of utilities, some third-party utilities that give you a similar kind of functionality. And the nice thing about these utilities is they don't just a couple of them, I'm pretty sure, don't just work with Microsoft Office. They allow you to build up a series of clippings, and then you can put them in order in the way that you want them, and then paste them in as needed. I used one of these utilities for a while, several years ago, and I may go back to using it. I find that I went through a period where I wasn't using them, but I may go back to using that again. There are times when it comes in really handy. And now let's move on to some other things. And I put this next because it's the lead in to a few tips that I'm going to talk about this week. The first one is Kirk, the iTunes guy, Kirk McLaren, Kirk, the iTunes guy, over at Macworld. I was at his website this week, and he had an article. This is another one of his "Hey, Apple, fix this" things. And as you can see, he has some issues with Siri and the way it works. And he goes into some depth in the article about some things that he wishes Siri would handle better. Those of you that don't know, Kirk lives near Stratford upon Avon. Those of you who are Shakespeare fans will know where that is. And one of the problems that Siri does is that it doesn't always give him accurate information when he asks for certain things like restaurants and things like that. It misses things that it should pick up and the like. And you can go into the article and read it. It's quite good. But that got me to thinking. I don't use Siri a lot. And now that I'm experimenting with both the iOS beta and the Sierra beta, I decided to kind of experiment with it a little bit today. And yesterday, my wife asked me if it was possible. I was complaining because I was on one of my rants. Okay, I do rants periodically, and I was on one of my rants where one of my problems with audiobooks is that sometimes if I'm doing something while I'm listening to the book, then I have trouble focusing and I lose track of where I am. So in other words, I'm listening to the book, everything's going along well, and then I start composing an email or doing something else, and I lose track of where I am in the book. And she asked me if it was possible, because she plays audiobooks back on her iPhone, if it was possible to make Siri skip backwards a specific amount. And we were thinking in terms of skipping chapters. And I hadn't really tried that, so I decided, okay, I'll try it. Well, I didn't have any audiobooks on my phone right at the moment, so I decided, hey, I needed to try Siri in the Sierra beta, so let's give it a try. I loaded up an audiobook. I tried to get Siri to play the audiobook, and that didn't quite work. It wanted to play music tracks, and I had a little issue with trying to get it to play specific tracks. And and while I was experimenting with that, now on her phone, playing the audiobooks works. The one thing that it does not seem to be able to do is skip to a specific chapter. But the funny thing was, in the process of playing around with Siri a little bit, I was getting a little frustrated, and Siri misunderstood something and said, "I didn't understand what you said," and I just kind of blurted out, "That's because you're stupid." And Siri's response was, "After all I've done for you." And I immediately proceeded to split something laughing at this. Siri is notorious for uh, smart aleck comments every once in a while. Um, Such as if you ask it what 3 divided by 0 is, it asks you whether you're trying to break their computational power. But as a result of experimenting around with Siri a little bit, I ran into a couple of things that were kind of interesting. First of all, there are several good articles out now that talk about how you can improve the accuracy of Siri. Uh, Things that you can say, things that you don't, that Siri doesn't seem to understand. And I will say, when I tried Siri a while ago, for the first time, when I first got my iPhone 6 and I tried Siri for the first time, I found something interesting. I had an iPad at the same time. It had a new version of the operating system. I think we had just gone to iOS 8, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been the early days of iOS 9. And I'm sitting one day in my classroom at the end of the day. I had gotten a notice about 2 meetings that I needed to attend, and I decided to use Siri to try to enter the information into my calendar for the meeting, just because I could probably do that a little bit faster than typing. I'm a horrible typist. Well, I entered the first um, appointment, and it went in with very little trouble, no sweat really. I gave it the date, gave it the time, and asked it to create an appointment, and everything worked. When I got to do the second meeting, for a while, I could not get Siri to do that second meeting. Just absolutely couldn't figure out why it wouldn't make the appointment in calendar. So I gave up on that, entered the information manually, and went on about my business. When I got home that night, I was thinking about it, trying to figure out what was going wrong. Why had it worked so well one time and not worked so well the other? And all of a sudden, it dawned on me I had accidentally given it an incorrect date. Okay, and not only was the date of the meeting was incorrect, but that really wasn't the problem. What I had done is given it a date that had already gone by. So just as a for instance, okay, let's suppose that you were making an appointment for uh, August the 15th, 2016, and you accidentally said make an appointment for August the 16th, 2015. Siri is smart enough to know that August the 16th is 2015 is already long gone. And if you had an appointment on that day, you've already missed it. So it doesn't create the appointment. But it also, at that time, did not give you an error message that said, are you sure, or what's going on? Are you sure this is the right date? Anything like that. It just kind of sat there, like, it assumed that you realized what you were doing. So you might find these commands, these Siri commands, very helpful. This list is quite big, quite good. There are a number of other lists on the internet about that, about using Siri. Okay. A couple of other things with Siri and with Apple recently. I'm going to see if I can get to the right one here, right page. Uh, this is something that I have not tried. This next tip is something that I have not tried because you need an Apple TV 4 remote, the Siri enabled remote that comes with the fourth generation Apple TV to make this work. That remote is Bluetooth capable. And because of that, you can use it to control some basic functions on your Mac. You pair that remote with your Mac as you would any Bluetooth device. Now, you could do that with some of the old with with some other remotes, but here's the thing that's kind of interesting. This gives you some basic functionality. If you wanted to have a little bit more control, there's a piece of software that you can download. There's a link to the software in the to the software download in the article, and it will give you some more capabilities that you can use with your Apple TV 4 remote and controlling things on your Mac. Might come in really handy if you happen to have your Mac somewhere near where your Apple TV device is. But that's something that you want to take a look at. I think it'll be interesting. I'd like to hear in the thread somewhere what you guys are doing with this. It's an interesting idea. As I say, I haven't had the opportunity to try this one because I'm not running Apple TV 4 at the moment. Hint to the wife, that's a good excuse to buy an Apple TV 4, isn't it? And then also, whoops, th- there we go. Here's the other thing that I ran into. And this I have tried. This next tip I have tried, and it does work. I tried it earlier today. I just literally found out about this in preparation for the show today. I was looking through some stuff and I stumbled on this. Um, Apple has a an app in the iTunes store, in the App Store at the moment. And what it does is it allows you to take this piece of software, download an app that goes onto your phone, and then you open that app and pair it with your Apple TV. And one of the reasons you might want to do that is that what you can do then is use your iPhone or iPad. The app looks better on the iPhone because it's kind of been optimized for the iPhone display, but it should run on the iPad as well. But what you can do is you pair this device with this software with your Apple TV, and then you can use this piece of software on your phone or on your iPad to control the Apple TV. You've got a menu button, playback controls. You've got, I believe, there are two virtual buttons that skip back or forward a certain amount of time. And then the top section of the screen on your phone is a touch area where you scroll, where you use your finger to scroll up or down, swipe left or right. It works really well. It also works with the search function on Apple TV. So when you scroll down to search and tap OK to bring up the search box, when the search box comes up on Apple TV, a little search space comes up on your phone. The keyboard on your phone pops up. You type in your search request and tap enter, and lo and behold, your Apple TV starts searching for what you're asking for. I played around with it a little bit this afternoon. I didn't get to do extensive testing with it, but it seems to be quite stable. Now, even though Siri is available on your phone, it does not seem to give the older Apple TVs Siri capability. It might on the Apple TV 4. I get the impression from what I read that it does, but it doesn't on the Apple TV 4. And here you can see this is the web page showing some of the article information about it, different languages that it's available in, and a brief description of what it does. There you can see the search screen, as I mentioned, you being able to search. There's a little more of the interface. As you can see, here's the menu button. It behaves just like the menu button on your Apple TV remote. This is your touch area where you would swipe left, right, up, down, that kind of thing. You can go in. The setup is dead simple. It took me about 5 minutes to do. The app walks you right through it. It finds the Apple TV and puts up a number on your phone, and then you go into the Apple TV. On the Apple TV 4, it does it almost entirely automatically. On the 3 and earlier, you've got to go into settings and pair it like you would any other remote, but the process really is dead simple. I think you might like this remote. There are other remotes out there that can be used to control the Apple TV. I'm experimenting with Blue Moo to do that because it controls quite a number of other things. And there are a few others of these apps out there now where you try to control various devices from your iPhone or your iPad. I might be doing some discussion of some of those in the near future, just because it's kind of interesting, and we do occasionally get questions about them on the forum. And so that kind of gives you some idea of what I've been experimenting with in the last day or two. Um, there's more of this kind of software out there, for controlling your computer from your phone, for controlling your Apple TV from your phone. So do some experiment, look around, do some experimenting. Just as for instance, I'm not using it as much as I used to, but in the past, I've had um, software on my phone that allowed me to control my Mac. So if I were sitting in the living room and I had a process going on my Mac that was going to take some time, I could be watching TV in the living room and the Mac is in a different room, and I don't want to get up and disturb myself from the program I'm watching. So I can use the iPhone or the iPad to look at my Mac screen and see how close that thing is to being finished. That used to be a big deal to me when I was running an older system, and you get something like Handbrake going where it's doing a video conversion that's going to take a while. And sometimes you just wanted to make sure that something hadn't crashed out, or if you had a process that was being particularly slow, this was a good way to do it. So there's a lot of that kind of software out there. If you need something like that, ask in the forum. There's a lot of helpful people there who have experimented with some of these apps. Which one you need kind of depends on what you need to do and what version of the operating system you have available to you. Some of these programs have had multiple revisions over the years. So chances are there is one out there that does what you need. And if you post in the forum and ask a few questions, I'm sure you'll get some good ideas. And that may save you a little time and headache trying to figure out which one you do best. Because I can tell you, when I did the thing looking for an app to control my Mac, I tried 3 or 4 before I found one that I liked. And it wasn't that the others were bad, and it wasn't that the process didn't work. It wasn't that the apps were unstable. It's just it's strictly a matter of personal taste. Different developers had slightly different approaches to app interface and things like that, and that made a difference in terms of how I wanted it to behave, which one made the most sense to me. So that's a good look at what's been going on this week in the forum. We still have a few people here and there having to change their usernames and passwords recently, and those issues, fortunately, have pretty much gone away. I will say, though, one thing you can do, guys, to make things much easier on everybody, when you change your go in periodically, look at your profile and make sure that your particularly your email address is up to date in the forum software, because if you forget your password and you need to send a password reset request, that's the address that is going to. So if you put in for a password reset request, it's going to go to the account that we have on file in the software. And if that's an account that you have dropped recently, maybe you changed internet providers or something of that nature, then that's going to pose a problem because you won't get the information that you need. So take care of that for us. That'll help us out a little bit. I hope that you've enjoyed this week's tips. Maybe you had a good laugh at my experience with Siri this week. I know I'm amazed that I was able to tell you that without splitting a gut laughing. But I hope that you've enjoyed this week's set of tips and tricks. We'll be back next week, next Sunday, 7 p.m. My time as usual. That's midnight GMT, if I remember correctly. And I hope to see you in the forum during the week. And if you happen to have an idea for a topic that you'd like for us to discuss in an upcoming show, just let us know in the show thread. And until next week, this is your host, Sylvester Rock, aka Sly Dude. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the forum.